To all the attendees, thank you so much for connecting. It's a real pleasure to have you there with us. And to our panel, Paul Prendergast, Alistair Payne, Jamie Harvey. Alistair and Jamie are two of our most senior business setup advisors. Paul Prendergast is the head of revenue and strategy at Creative Zone. So guys, thank you for connecting and for spending the morning with us in telling our audience about the details of setting up a company here in the UAE. All right, so we are waiting for one more panelist, Romel, but I think he has had some trouble joining. Sishan, our tech team, I will leave you there as a host still, in case you're able to bring him up, yeah? But let's get started. So again, everybody, welcome to this webinar, another Creative Zone webinar where we bring you some insights about market information, about business setup, about how other startups and entrepreneurs are coping in this day and age and in today's market. But today's webinar is all about setting up your business. We know that there is a lot of information out there. There's a lot of procedures. And for some people, it's not very clear sometimes whether I should go with a DD mainline license. Can I go with a free zone license? What really best applies to the type of company and the activity that you're trying to set up. So the idea of today is to try to take you through the journey and guide you through what's your best available options, the most cost-effective ones, and also the one that is really not going to keep you, that is going to let you grow going forward. So we'll try to answer your questions. Please feel free on the Q&A section. Send your questions. We would like to hear from you. We would like to try to answer any doubts or any queries that you may have. So just maybe to get started, Paul, if you could give us sort of a brief history about Creative Zone. When was Creative Zone established? What's a little bit of the background on how we were set up and the reason of us being who we are as a company?
Okay, morning everyone. So as some of you may know or may not know, this is our 10-year anniversary. And 10 years ago, the business was started by Mahesh Dalamal and Steve Main. And they put together a novel product selling free zone licenses, offering a business center solution, a downtown address, a dedicated phone number that was answered on your behalf, and really offering that on a monthly payment plan. So if you like, that was the product. But in actual fact, what Creative Zone is about is offering a full service and a very, very strong customer focus, and pairing that then with a drive for operational excellence and really maintaining that view on what it is that entrepreneurs need. What is it that a business startup needs? And Steve and Mahesh are both serial entrepreneurs, but perhaps unusually, I don't know, they've maintained a very close presence in Creative Zone over this time. And, that continuity and drive on the customer focus is something which is still very apparent now. Also married with that approach is a strong sense of empathy, both for the, let's say, clients back then and understanding of what was required, but also even now. And I think that's best demonstrated by, let's say, the more recent situation where, we've had very, very severe economic impact. Markets, income has suffered, a lot of people have struggled, and their demonstration to this long-term view, their demonstration to looking after both their existing clients, finding products to offer new clients that work, and also looking after their staff. And being able to demonstrate that over the long term, I think is a very good indicator of what a business is about. So from free zones, then more recently they moved into offering DD mainland products with corporate sponsorship. Again, it was something that was very novel, and building packages which really made sense, and then marrying that with a group of setup advisors who frankly are encyclopedic in their knowledge. It can be very, very complicated, and it's not enough just to say, okay, I've got this product, I will sell you this. It's much more about what is it you're trying to achieve, what are the goals for your business? What are the activities you're interested in? What's your nationality? What's your requirement on banking? And then as a team, both in the sales and operations and customer service, it's about delivering a solution that works for you. So not just simply pushing something, but listening and adapting our products and our services and putting them together in a way that works for the client. And again, it's this understanding that, you know, our company ethos, if you like, is summed up with the expression, you know, business setup is just the beginning. You know, that's really best demonstrated by the fact that 70% of our clients renew, and over a long term, that's a demonstration of consistent delivery. It's about, you know, when you have a problem, the Creative Zone is there for you. When you're stuck at the airport at 2 a.m, you can call Creative Zone, and they can help you sort out your visa problem. When you're perhaps struggling with your circumstance at the moment, it's not just a flat no, sorry, this is the list price. It's a discussion about what you can achieve and how we can support you in that situation. So, you know, for me, as someone who's come into the business 9-10 months ago, I've actually been very aware and very impressed by this singular focus on the customer. Because if the customer is successful, then we as a business are successful. If you're going for let's say the fast buck just to sell a solution and it's not the right solution for the client, then, you know, it doesn't work. And so, you know, by focusing on the client, we ultimately look after the business ourselves. And then finally, understanding what clients need. You know, they've built this ecosystem, to use the buzzword, but a whole range of services that are on hand for any business, for any requirement they have. So everything from legal, marketing, funding, Forex, obviously the business hub services, networking, workshops and seminars, payment gateways, lead development support. And so again, you know, being a very adaptive business, you know, some people just want a straightforward solution and that's fine. Other people want a lot more help. And then it's down to us to say, okay, well, we have some solutions for you, which is entirely your choice whether you take them up or not. And I think, you know, that's been very important for the business success.
Right.
More recently, just with the difficulties with Corona, you know, again, this adaptive approach, we were talking about it just before we came on. And how did we do that as a business? You know, we were sending people out daily to the medical centers, to the government departments, who's operating, who's not, but also, do we want to send clients there? What's the best solution that we can bring for them? So again, not just any solution, but, you know, the right solution. And now with the situation, the market where it is, we've come up with a suite of products which are targeted towards companies and individuals, you know, where if you want a zero visa, relatively straightforward vehicle, you know, we can provide that for you. If you want visas and something a little bit more evolved in a free zone, we can do that too. If you require a mainland setup, then of course we have a range of solutions, professional, commercial, industrial as well. So we've really tried to focus on having solutions on hand for each customer requirement.
Excellent, excellent. Well, thank you for that, Paul. And as I was saying to all our attendees, please feel free to send out your questions. We're going to start doing a few Q&As as we go along, as we find a few good questions that are of interest to put out to our team. As I explained, we have Alistair, Jamie, and Romel, who are 3 of our most senior business setup advisors. So Alistair, I want to take it on with you now and see, how would you describe is the role of a business setup advisor? I mean, you've been with Creative Zone about 7-8 years, I believe. How is it that you help individuals that come to us and they want to set up a company? What are the ingredients that you bring into the equation?
Thank you, Lorenzo, and good morning to everyone tuning in. Excellent question. Our role, for me, primarily is to understand the business that the customer or the client is looking to set up. And it's not just understanding the business activity, it's understanding the business model. How will the business function, particularly here in the UAE? what type of clients, what type of customers will the client be targeting? How will they be targeting? What's the marketing strategy? These are all key questions to really understand how the business will function. Paul alluded to it there. There are so many business setup options. Take free zones, there's over 50 free zones in 7 Emirates. You have offshore free zones. You have mainland jurisdictions in those 7 Emirates. Combine that together, you're presented with over 70 business setup options. It's a complete minefield. So really our role, and I think what we focus on primarily as a team, is really understanding the business. How will the business function? Because this will dictate the solution that we advise. This will dictate the jurisdiction that you will set up in. And Paul made an excellent point there. Setting up in the wrong jurisdiction it can cost the business tens of thousands of dirhams. So really our role is to really get into the nitty-gritty of the business, really understand how it's going to operate here in the UAE, and then we can suitably advise based on that the correct jurisdiction and the correct solution to set up.
Excellent. So Jamie, maybe we can explain a little bit about the different options. Let's go a little bit more in depth. We know that we work very closely with DED, the Dubai Economic Department, in setting up Dubai mainline companies. We work very closely with a few of the free zones. What are the options out there that Creative Zone is offering to clients?
Excellent question. As Alistair rightly just mentioned, you've over 50 free zones at this point. And what we tend to do over the past 10 years is kind of idolize those and see which ones are going to really fit our clients' requirements. So that being said, we channeled down certain ones where they could fit our own KYC, where we would factor in upfront costs, renewal costs, and God forbid, cancellation fees. And part of that, what we've recently done, well, when I say recently, about a year and a half back, we launched what's called the Dubai Mainland Co-working License. Now that similarly kind of follows the same model as a free zone, where you can set up your business without renting any physical office space. So to elaborate on that, really what option you decide to go with is dictated based on, as Alistair mentioned, how your business is operating. For example, if you're going to be operating within a free zone, perhaps, or overseas, we have very attractive options within, for example, Fujairah Creative City or Shams Free Zone, for example. However, if you're looking to operate your business within the mainland and you're not looking to rent an office space, and I think what we've all learned an awful lot recently over the past 2 months of how we've adapted working from home, like so many new companies are looking to set up without renting an office space from the onset. And so it's a very important question to always ask. And coming back to some of the points that, Alistair mentioned there as well, which is you only want to do this once. You don't want to have to do it again. So think about where you're starting now. Think about who your target audience is, but also think if you were to expand, what are your capabilities and limitations? Now, what I mean by that is, and what we've seen so far from the past few years is those who are currently registered in a free zone are now looking to move into their own office space, where they're now going to house more of a department in terms of their marketing or their HR department. Like Creative Zone, we have a free zone company set up as a branch. What they can then do is they could look at setting up a Dubai mainland company under a co-working license, giving them the freedom and flexibility to move into their own dedicated office space within the future. So coming back to Alish's point there, really and truly, depending on how your business is going to operate, would dictate where you should be registered between the Dubai or a free zone company setup.
Sounds good. Romel, can you explain a little bit further into the type of companies that are setting up in this DED co-working package that we have? And you are on mute, yeah?
No longer. Hi, Lorenzo. Hi, guys. And yeah, good question. Now, when it comes to the type of business people are setting up now and the type of people, I think with the current pandemic and people probably spending more time at home, they have more time to think about their personal goals, what they want to do when it comes to business moving forward. So you get a lot of different types of business, e-commerce, consultancies, a lot of different reasons for people looking to set up a company. For example, you have people that are currently working in an industry and are looking at maybe, I don't know, setting up a side business, setting up companies, a little side hustle to make sure they can get another revenue stream. People that maybe have lost their jobs and they've got over 20 years experience in an industry, setting up consultancies in order for them to obviously provide for their family and so forth. So there's many different reasons why people would set up a company. And it's a perfect time in terms of you have the time to focus on what you want to do. People are looking into different avenues of making money. And I just feel that it's definitely a market that creates an industry where you can be an entrepreneur. It's very easy for you to set up a company. There are support services that companies like Creative Zone can offer. And people are just delving more into it, looking more into it, and having the opportunity to set up their own company that way.
Paul, I mean, you being at the head of our sales department in Creative Zone, what type of companies do you see are the ones that we're setting up the most? Where is it that we're helping people right now the most? What kind of activities are people going for right now?
As Ramel just said then, we're seeing a lot of people looking to open zero visa options, to try a foray into perhaps e-commerce. There's a lot of people setting up for products very specific to the pandemic. So sanitation, workwear, things like that. There's a lot of people looking to set up consultancy, as Ramel said again. And I think it depends on their circumstance, so either they have an existing visa, but maybe they're being furloughed. Maybe they have an agreement that they can explore something else. Certain options you don't require an NOC, so people have the flexibility just to try something, or maybe having that time to think while they're at home. Some people are employed but not actually working, so I think there's been a lot of creative thinking going on. So I would say there's a definite strong trend towards e-commerce at the moment, and people are just really looking to see if they can get something going. It's not a huge investment for them. It's relatively low risk, and there's perfect vehicles to do that out there.
Alistair, what would you say are the one or two main products that you see people are going for? What is it that you are advising the most nowadays? Is it the DED co-working package? Can you give us details of what this entails? Is it a Shams one visa package? Where is the sort of the interest nowadays?
I would say there's a real sort of variance, Lorenzo, in terms of where we're seeing businesses being incorporated. I would say, take a bit more holistic view on this. Over the past 12 to 18 months, I've definitely seen a shift into the mainland. I think Department of Economic Development have removed a lot of the barriers that were there for setting up mainland companies. It is now arguably as cheap and as easy as it's ever been here in the UAE to set up a mainland company. So I would say the mainland option is certainly getting more and more popular. The free zone solutions, your Northern Emirate free zones, your Shams Media City free zone, your Fujairah Credit City free zone will always appeal for individuals potentially just looking for residency solutions, or they're just doing consultancy predominantly outside the country. This way, these solutions make a lot of sense because they're cost effective, very straightforward to set up, very quick to set up as well. But I would say definitely there's been a big shift into the mainland just due to the authorities here making it so much easier. And on the back of that, we created a brand new product in late 2018 to cater to people looking to set up mainland companies on a similar model of the free zone companies, where they don't need to rent office space, where there is no annual audits, where there are no paid up share capital now in the mainland. So in answer to that question, yeah, I would definitely say the mainland option is probably our most popular option currently, but the Northern Emirate free zone and the free zone option in general will always appeal here for, particularly the expat community for various reasons.
Good, excellent. Well, we have a few good questions coming up. I'm going to start reading quite a few of them and see if we can answer some. One of them, it says, what is the best place to set up a software as a service company with occasional hardware, mobile phones, sales? We provide workforce tracking app to a lot of customers in the UAE and wish to set up in Dubai. Jamie, what kind of company would you recommend for such activity and interest?
Just to make sure I heard that correctly, Renzo, would you saying that was a service-based company or a trading-based company?
Well, it seems to be a service-based company, but with an occasional trading of hardware. So this is, I think, we will have to draw the line between being a service company or a trading company, right?
Perfect. Yeah, I mean, sometimes there's a bit of a misconception of what is their actual end goal. At the end of the day, what I always say to people is, if I was to look at your bank account, you're receiving funds for trading or for a service, and that will ultimately dictate what the license is. Now, in terms of operating and having freedom and flexibility to trade, for example, within the local market, setting up a Dubai mainland company setup would make perfect sense. As wherein if you were within a free zone, you would be restricted. You would need to have what's called a commercial agent to distribute the products on behalf of you. So if that's not what you're looking to do, or if you're looking to tie up with any government entities, for example, or government bodies, you would need to be registered onshore, as they primarily will not entertain a free zone company license. Moreover, a huge thing, just to kind of go back on what Alistair mentioned about a huge traction about Dubai mainland being more attractive than ever. It's not just because of the cost, it's not because of the new solution we've done there too, but to add to that, people are starting to realize now that if they are providing a service, they can own the company 100% as an expatriate, which often the times when we speak to people, and half the guys here will admit that we've spoken to people here for 20, 25 years. And once we go into those discussions that you can own a company onshore by the Department of Economic Development, 100% by an expat, they immediately think it's free zone because that's the typical model. But what's happened in the recent years is any company which is providing any services or consultancies or skilled-based activities can be 100% owned by an expatriate. How they do that is called a local service agent. A local service agent holds no financial nor managerial control within the company. So ultimately, you are the general manager, you are the 100% shareholder. Now, the next question that would generally get probed there is, well, I don't have somebody to act as my service agent. So regardless of the situation, if you were to appoint a service agent, where they issue your license and your visas, or a local sponsor to act as a 51% typical shareholder, creators under a corporate capacity will facilitate that role. So going back to that point, I would definitely suggest going onshore if you're offering your services within the mainland or within the local market. If it's overseas, which I don't think it is, you primarily mentioned, then I wouldn't look at a free zone.
Excellent, good point. There's another good question here. It says, what are the main pitfalls or challenges businesses face while setting up their businesses in the UAE? Romel, what would you say are the main challenges that companies face while setting up their businesses?
I think first and foremost, making sure that you set up the right way, like Alistair and Jamie touched on. Setting up a free zone company when really you need a mainland license will create pitfalls. But something that always comes up very often is banking as an issue. People getting bank accounts open, not knowing the right channels to go to, maybe not speaking to the right people, not having time to provide this service. So this is another solution where co-working is very, very good because mainland companies have more options of getting bank accounts open, and it's just a lot easier process for them. There are ways you can get bank accounts, many other options. Free zone companies that are consultancies, general trading, generally struggle to get business. Maybe nationality can be an issue. The sort of money that you want to put into the bank account can be an issue as well. So this is a very common question. But our solution to this is we have a team that directly focuses on banking. So they have experience of work with many different banks, many different options, understanding the current situation. So what your personal circumstances, everyone has a different solution. A lot of people will say, I couldn't get a bank open with this free zone, but it could have been for many reasons. Like I said, nationality, the sort of business you're looking to set up, the experience you have in the market. So there's many different ways that you can get a bank account open. And that's why we have a team specially focused on ensuring that our clients get bank accounts, because as people know, there's no point in having a business if you can't get a bank account open.
Right.
Lorenzo, I think there's, just to touch on a point that Ramel made there, you know, it's at the first point when that, when the contact starts and the conversation starts, you know, if you're going to have a business, you're going to need a bank account for the most part. If you can't get a bank account, you know, it can stifle your whole business going forward. So what the guys do there is they're factoring in that view in amongst everything else. So that, again, back to this point about the solution, you know, the solution is a function of the activities that they want, maybe in combination, the jurisdiction, the nationality, their budget and everything else in the round. And then, you know, delivering that together, but they're already thinking about, you know, what's going to support them the most in terms of that ease of setup, including the bank account.
Excellent. And maybe, Paul, you can expand a little bit more what other services we're able to give our clients aside for concierge, for banking. What about visas, dependent visas? How do we help our clients on this regard and so many other sort of business units that we have under our umbrella?
Okay, so let's say post sale, we support a lot of companies with their dependent and maid visas. So we have our concierge service, who are, as the name suggests, very attentive, operate very, very closely with the client, again, looking to understand what it is they're trying to do. And we offer a whole range of services really designed to take away a lot of the headache and hassle. You know, they don't have to drive to the specific emirate for anywhere that they do need to go for medicals or anything like that. We're happy to, you know, we provide a service where we will pick them up. We will arrange everything so they don't have to stand in line. And really, you know, it takes away a lot of the stress, and gives people a level of confidence, because everything that we're doing, you know, we don't enter into something unless we know what we're doing, unless we know that we can deliver it. So, you know, every client is different. Everyone has different circumstances, different complications, and ultimately it's, you know, the devil is in the detail. And so, you know, our team, Alicia and Dean, are very well versed in this. They know how to assemble the right solution and bring it. So in addition to dependent visas and maid visas, we also offer tax certificates for people looking for proof of tax residency. We can provide attestation, and really we've had some very odd requests which we're happy to accommodate. We've done pet visas, we've helped people with accommodation and even travel arrangements and things like that, which is much more sort of pure concierge. So what I would say is, if you have a requirement or you're struggling with something, then by all means talk to us, and we're happy to help bring a solution for you, even if it's not technically, you know, within our product offer.
Excellent. We have a question from somebody here. It says, hi, this is Carlo Arqueros. Do you work in connection with startups and investors? Carlo, we're very happy to say we have a unit called Creative Zone Funding, and we have an integrated partner there called Vestigos, who help companies and startups and to connect them through potential investors and VCs that are looking to invest in startups. So if you're looking for anything related to this, please get in touch with us through our email accounts. You can write in the forms that you've connected on this webinar, and that you would like to learn more about that. So we'll be happy to connect you in the right direction and see how we can help you in that regard. Alistair, I have a good question here coming from one of the attendees. He's talking about how we can help individuals mitigate personal liability by setting up a branch of a free zone company in DED, right? You've done this with a few clients. Can you tell us a little bit the details on how this structure works?
Yeah, absolutely. So let's take a consultancy activity, for example. You want to set up a consultancy in the mainland, but you're concerned about the liability. So any consultancy company in the mainland, as an expatriate, must be wholly owned by yourself or potentially another expatriate, or you can have a local shareholder. But the key is you will not get limited liability status, which means in the case of bankruptcy or insolvency, or in case you are sued, you are personally liable for the company. And that means personal assets that you hold here in the UAE are potentially at risk and on the table. There are a couple of ways to mitigate this risk. One can mitigate this by firstly incorporating a free zone company. Free zone companies will generally can give limited liability status with just one individual shareholder. For example, Shams Media City Free Zone give all companies limited liability status regardless of number of shareholders. Fujairah Credit City Free Zone can also give limited liability status to one individual shareholder. So if you were to create a free zone company in one of these free zones, you could then create a branch of this free zone company into the mainland. That way, under a branch, liability is retained fully by the parent company. And as the parent company is under a limited liability status, you have protection there in terms of your personal liability. That's one way to do it as well. Moving away from consultancy activities and into your trading activities, again, people are concerned with protecting themselves under a trading activity where a local sponsor holds 51%, you hold 49%, etc. We again have corporate nominee sponsorship solutions, but you can create special purpose vehicles here in one of the financial free zones. There's DIFC, or recently opened in Abu Dhabi Global Market. where again, you can mitigate this local sponsorship requirement and protect yourself that way as well. So there are a couple of ways there to protect yourself from liability issues when crediting mainland companies.
Excellent, thank you. And Jamie, perhaps you can spend a bit of time explaining the difference between corporate sponsorship solutions opposed to individual sponsorship solutions. What are the differences so that our attendees can understand what are the different vehicles that they can go with?
Sure. So going back to one of those points that Alistair just mentioned there, having a 51% local sponsor, typically you would appoint a local individual, UAE national, to act as your 51% sponsor, wherein they would be entitled to obviously certain profit shares and dividends that the company generates on a yearly basis. In certain cases, and quite frankly put, we would sponsor over a couple of thousand companies within the UAE, where if you were to look at their license, it would be under one of Creason's 5 corporate vehicles. The purpose of those vehicles is to act as a nominee shareholder, in a sense, to put that into normal terms, a silent partner or a dummy partner on the license, wherein a nominee agreement is issued post-license, stating that we are not entitled to any profits, shares, nor dividends that is generated by the company held by the 49% expatriate. So really, in essence, we just act as a sponsor to fulfill the UAE commercial company law. We actually have no hearsay in terms of the company's operation. So from the start of us advising, you have your dedicated account manager, your tax and accounting relationship, everything is encompassed under the one-stop shop. We don't get involved with the day-to-day operations.
Right. Romel, we have another good question here coming from Pratik. He says, for mainline setup, how can one insulate oneself from forced heirship of UAE national and secure from a local 51% partner?
Yeah, good question. And that's why we have corporate shareholding, right? So you can sign a nominee agreement that will put into place certain agreements where if, say, for instance, the sponsor does need to change hands from any circumstances, we already have a chain of command where someone else would take over the sponsorship. So that's where corporate sponsorship comes in again. It's an extra layer of protection, which ensures that you're not at the liability of the sponsor passing the shares on to a cousin, uncle, or whoever you don't know, taking over a part of that company. So that's where the corporate shareholding comes in again, because you're working with a company that has over 10 years of experience in the region. We've already made sure that our clients are protected for this situation. So this is one of the benefits of having a corporate sponsorship as opposed to having an individual sponsoring your company.
And Alistair, we have recently also been engaging in setting up special purpose vehicles through ADGM. Can you tell us a little bit more about this special structure?
Yeah, absolutely. So ADGM opened a couple of years ago and was basically set up as sort of the sister free zone of the IFC. It's a regulated financial free zone that follows English and Welsh common law, does not follow the local civil law, the local Sharia law. That offers a lot of benefits to expatriates looking to create either holding companies or to create special purpose vehicles to hold shares of mainland companies. And there are a couple of solutions that we can go into whereby we can actually remove the local sponsorship from the mainland company. And we sort of put the local sponsorship into an SPV in ADGM. We can then create another SPV. There's then a trust arrangement, which is a legally recognized document in the ADGM. It's enforceable through the ADGM courts. And there are various solutions there where we can create structures which completely mitigate and safeguard the personal interests of the expatriate entrepreneur. So depending on the client's requirements, we would look at one of these structures. What Romel has said there is corporate sponsorship is a great way, I'd say your basic level of protection. If you want to go one level up and one level up again, this is where we look at ADGM and creating these sort of vehicles that completely protect expatriates. And we've seen great appetite for that. We've actually recently opened an office in ADGM to cater to these requirements, cater to these inquiries. So it's a jurisdiction that we're actually very busy with and really enjoying working with.
Excellent. Well, Romel, let me bounce back at you. I mean, now we're talking about more complicated, heavier sort of structures for bigger type of corporations. Let's go down to the solo entrepreneurs, to the one-man shows and the guys that are starting from scratch. One attendee saying, what is the best and most cost-effective option for a sole proprietary business into the IT consultancy, providing services to local, in between brackets, government and private, and foreign companies with a single visa? What would you recommend would be the best for
Well,
this?
when you mention government companies, they tend to prefer to work with mainland companies. They're not necessarily taking tenders from all free zones. So depending on who you're working with will determine the license. And going back to what we had mentioned previously about, you know, when you're setting up a company, you only want to set up the company once. So to be honest, I would advise a client to go with the mainland co-working license because it covers all angles. You can work with governments, you can work throughout the UAE, you can work abroad. It covers every aspect of your business, as opposed to maybe setting up a company at the cheapest cost, and then in a year's time, you will have to change that trade license because you get a certain government tender that won't take on business from a free zone company. So I would recommend, again, a co-working mainland license. Like Alistair mentioned before, it's now become much more cost effective. There's no requirement for an office space. You can 100% own the company. We have a very, very cost effective solution where you can register your company in our business center, get visas, investor visas, which are cost effective as well. So that solution that we put together is more than suitable for what that client would require.
Paul, before I go back to you with more general sort of line of thinking, we're getting a lot of detailed questions, and I want to focus a lot on the business setup advisors with some of these really good questions. So to all the attendees, keep the questions coming. We have over 100 attendees there. You're sending us some really good questions. Jamie, we have a good question here. It says, what sort of a company is apt for a music label, artist management, music publishing company? Is it it's a service as well as a trade-based industry? What would you recommend for someone with that activity?
That's actually a service-based company, actually, and we're currently undergoing that for a couple of clients, actually 3 at the moment, which have inquired with something similar over the past 2 months. And quite frankly, they're not looking for any physical office space. The majority of their work is done online and some actually done overseas. A free zone company set up, which we looked at in one of our northern-based Emirates, because they only needed 1 visa, was perfectly suitable for what they were looking for. So based on what you're recommending there, a free zone will be perfectly acceptable for this.
Excellent. We have another question right at the beginning of the webinar, and I wanted to leave it a little bit towards this part. It says, are there any specific packages for women entrepreneurs? Now, we recently signed an agreement with the Dubai Business Women Council. We're very happy to announce this, that we have a special package for women entrepreneurs, by which every single women entrepreneur that we're signing during this month and the month of June, we're going to be paying on their behalf a 1-year full membership at the Dubai Business Women Council. And we have a special discounted price for all of our sort of 1 visa package licenses for women entrepreneurs. So please do get in touch with us. If you would like to learn more about these options, we'll be happy to share more. Paul, going back to you, I'm trying to see if I pick up any of the questions. There's one here that says, thank you for your answers. And can you please explain a bit more about nationality issues? Do we have certain constraints when it comes to certain nationalities that are trying to set up companies? You're on mute. You're on mute.
Yeah, the quick answer is yes, we do. It varies slightly between the different free zones. Again, you know, when someone contacts us straight away, it's one of the first questions that we ask people, because again, it will dictate what kind of solution we bring. Some nationalities there's nothing that we can do, but the vast majority, there's usually a way. So really, it's never just the one thing. It's always going to be a function of who they are, what they're trying to do, have they been in the UAE previously or for an extended period, what's their background. But yeah, it will vary. But you know, they should ask. I mean, there's usually a way around it, and we're very good at finding the way to bring a solution.
Excellent. Romel, do you have any thoughts on this? I know that you worked in the past with trying to find solutions for some of our clients in different parts of the world.
Yeah, so like Paul mentioned, it has a lot of different factors that are involved in this, not just nationality, how long you've been in the country, if you've been back and forward to the UAE, what sort of experience you have in this industry. And there are restricted nationalities. It's just the way it is. And different free zones, different types of trade license will offer different flexibility. So mainland is probably much more flexible than a free zone company when it comes to nationality. The free zones are more set in stone. You know, they have certain nationalities that they won't give trade licenses to, but mainland are a little more flexible. They might do more of a background check, understand the requirements, and just making sure. I think one of the key reasons about this is understanding why they want to set up a company, why they're looking to do business, how they're going to look to do business, where are they going to be trading their goods. So there's a lot of factors that come into this. So I think it's more of an understanding of what the reason is for that person setting up the company as well is a key factor.
Excellent. Well, Alistair, I think this one is for you. It says, hi, it's Mohammed from the UK. I visited Dubai, actually met Alistair in February 2020. Sadly, due to COVID-19 pandemic, we had to put our plans on hold for now. The question is, what makes Creative Zone different from the many other organizations offering your service? Alistair?
Perfect, and hi Mohammed, great to hear from you again. I hope you're keeping well. In terms of what makes Creative Zone different, I think Paul touched on it in his initial remarks. We go so much further than just the company setup. Actually, the company setup is really just scratching the surface of where we add value to the customer. We've talked today about our extended services. We have created a support network that is invested in your success. We're not really interested in the initial company setup. What we're interested in is the renewal, the second, third, fourth, fifth renewal. We're interested in creating the second, third, fourth branch in Abu Dhabi, in Al Kuwait, in Fujairah, wherever it is. We are heavily invested in each and every customer's success. And what I would say is we treat each and every customer the same. Our customers are the most important part of our business. And every single person that contacts us will receive that care, devotion, and attention. So in a nutshell, why do I think we're different? Why do I think we're the best? It's because we care. It's because we want you to succeed, potentially even more than you do. And we're heavily invested in it. And I think what we've done and the way we've diversified our product range and diversified our support network over the years, over the past 10 years, is testament to that.
Excellent. Paul, I want to get your thoughts on the following. I think a lot of our attendees and the public in general need to also understand the fact that we are a company that we are 120 employees plus. And I think what makes Creative Zone also great is the sort of the back end, our operations teams, our PROs, our drivers, the people that really is, are the kitchen, let's say, of making the service happen. What would you say in terms of our PRO team, our drivers, our operations team, our customer relations team? What else can you explain in this regard?
Well, again, a point I made right at the start, about this this drive that comes from the business owners, but also there is an empathy. And so many times, as you'll know, a lot of the meetings are personally chaired by the owners, and more than any other point that comes across is this focus on the customer. It's not about working your way through a process. It's not about phoning it in. It's about understanding, they've got a problem. So what are you going to do to solve the problem? And the problem can manifest itself as, okay, I want certain activities in combination, which is complicated and requires a PRO to understand the situation and go and talk to the DED or wherever and look and seek to understand what is required. It could be the operational people working to get an approval inside a very, very short timescale. It could be generating understanding about any external approvals that may be required and what are the consequences for customers. So about giving that visibility to the customer up front, there's no surprises or unpleasant charges coming after the fact. In customer service, so many times clients are asking for general advice, whether it's about, let's say, the latest visa situation, and there was a lot of uncertainty in the market about what is my status, what do I need to do, and those guys are very, very well experienced. We have this very, very low turnover of staff in Creative Zone. Why? One, because they're looked after. Two, because they enjoy where they work. And three, I think they get a lot of satisfaction in engaging with clients in this way. You know, frankly, it's not tolerated to have people who don't display that kind of attitude. And you see it right the way throughout the business, from the guy that you meet around the office, to the person on reception, to all of us, to the operational people, to the lady who they will talk to about their payment schedule. You know, it's ingrained in all of us. You know, first and foremost, it's about solving the problem for the customer, and it's relentless, I would say.
Jamie, could you go a little more in depth into the steps and the procedures, the requirements, the paperwork needed for setting up, let's say, a DD company or a free zone company? What are the steps? How long does it take?
Sure.
What are the requirements? What kind of documents does the investor need to put forward?
Well, that really depends if it's going to be owned by an individual or it's going to be owned by a corporate shareholder. Taking, for example, if it's an individual, all they really need is a copy of their passport, their residency stamp, and their Emirates ID. If they don't have residency within the UAE, and the most recent copy of the unique identification number when they last entered the UAE, a passport photo for immigration. But if they are a current resident here and they do have a valid visa, they need to provide us with an original no objection certificate, which is presented at the notary public. Now, timeline typically put is around 6 to 7 working days. But recently enough, we've actually seen that a little bit shorter. Things are happening a lot quicker now in light of everything happening at the moment. We're finding a quicker turnaround time. Typically put, what would happen there is Creative Zone will be ultimately responsible for registering the company A to Z. That means reserving the name with the economic department, getting the initial approval. Once it's then been completed, we arrange the notary signing, wherein our head PRO or one member of our PRO will present himself at the notary public alongside with all of the expatriate shareholders. They will sign the memorandum of association if it's a trading company, or they will sign the local service agent agreement if it's 100% expatriate ownership. Upon that signing, within 1 to 2 working days, and recent times even within that day, we've seen the license released. And once that's then been applied for, we'll apply for your immigration file if you require any visas. So that will take around 2 working days. So the company setup is around 5 to 7 working days approximately, on the basis that your name has been approved first day. The visa processing for the investor partners will take an additional 6 to 7 working days on top of that. If you decide that you want to have employees on the Dubai mainland co-working license, you can have up to 3, wherein we will apply for your labor file. Your labor file essentially goes to the labor department, and that takes around 2 weeks to have your employees then actually registered as well, including their medical and their Emirates ID.
What kind of services we can give clients, Jamie, when it comes to medicals and PRO, VIP services for organizing their visas?
Yeah, a huge thing at the moment is the VIP medical. So the VIP medical is where, and you may have seen on some of our promo videos, where we've actually got dedicated drivers who are appointed to actually collect all of obviously our clients, bring them to their medical, wherein I think everyone here probably on here who is a current resident, you've gone there, you've seen, it's a bit of a painful process when you're queuing up to get your medical done. What has helped, and I've experienced it myself personally, is one of our dedicated PROs or drivers will bring us there. They will do the queuing for you. They will do the registration and paperwork process. Once that's then been completed, they'll then drop you back to your location, whether it's the airport, the hotel, your home, or even the office. Now, once that's then been completed, normally, as you probably know, you would have to go collect your medical results, which is then brought back to your service agent or your corporate service provider to apply for your visa. Creative Zone will actually have a driver that collects the results and then obviously collects your passport for visa stamping. So you technically don't have to go anywhere else. Everything can be just picked up and dropped off from your home or hotel or wherever you are based.
Excellent. Well,
and just to supplement what Jamie and Paul had mentioned, is that the reason that we are able to do this is because we don't outsource any part of our service. So everything's internal, PROs, drivers, we don't outsource any sort of receptionist team. Everything is internal, so we can control the whole process. So that's another reason why we're different to a lot of other companies, because everything we do, we take responsibility for. We're not relying on other companies to sort of deliver documents, to deliver people, to take people. Everything is in-house. So that's where we're different to every other company.
That's a very good point. At this time, guys, I would like to ask you to put on the chat box, not in the Q&A, on the chat for our panelists to write your email addresses so that in the coming hours, coming days, all the attendees can engage with you personally and ask you more questions and see if we can help them set up their companies. So in the meantime, as we continue these couple of minutes, please include your email addresses on the chat box so that people can get your details and communicate with you. Romel, we have another good question that says, what would be today the best package for a zero visa for a tutoring platform? Do I need to be a UAE resident to open a company in a free zone? I am a Spanish national. Thanks.
Okay, so when it comes to personal tutoring, you have obviously a situation with KHDA approval and so forth as well. So depending on how you're going to operate your business, this is going to be a requirement. Okay, so if you require KHDA approval, it's going to have to be set up in the mainland. So this can be done via our co-working option again, if you don't require an office space and so forth. So when it comes to education, tutoring and that sort of thing, KHDA approval is required. So again, it will be a mainland license that you'd have to do. You'd go ahead with that. And there's many options. There's educational services, educational support services, but it will be a mainland license if you're going to operate in Dubai.
Excellent. I'm trying to go through some of the other questions. There is somebody that has 4 or 5 good questions, but he's asking to keep them private. So Hamad will be replying to you directly on this. I'll be passing this on to you guys so that we can connect with this gentleman. I'm going to read out, I'm not filtering them. I'm trying to cope that we have so many good questions. Please keep them coming. One says, many female entrepreneurs complain about not being able to open a business bank account. How can they go about that, as most banks seem to make it impossible? This is something that we've been hearing, and I think this is something that we are kind of being able to help clients with. Paul, tell us a little bit about how can we help people set up their own business, their own bank accounts.
Sorry, I was on mute again. Okay, so again, back to the point about the concierge service. So, I mean, regardless of gender, nationality, or anything else, you know, being aware of that right from the start, what we can do, let's say, before we engage with the setup, this is something that we very often do. If we feel that something may be problematic, and you know, you're listening to the guys, they have a lot of great knowledge and experience. If we think something might be problematic, then what we will do is we will engage with the concierge team and the banks directly and sort of present, okay, look, you know, we have this individual, this is what they're looking to do, this is their background, do you foresee any problems? And so, you know, again, from our point of view, it's not a solution if, let's say, we do the setup and then they find out that they can't get an account. So there's no reason why we can't, in principle, get a view from, let's say, a number of different banks as to whether there are likely to be any problems. If there are likely to be problems, what are the ways in which we can mitigate them? You know, what information could we provide? So again, giving the individual some confidence. You know, and we're genuinely not interested in just taking the money and then saying, look, you know, it's your problem. So we've not done our job unless we provided a solution that works. And so concierge is one part of that team. And in that specific scenario, with the sales guys, it works very, very well.
Nowadays, we're setting up a lot of e-commerce companies, right? Team. So we have a question here that says, with an e-commerce company selling physical products via Amazon on the mainland, is a free zone an option? What is the import customs? How is the import customs managed? Alistair, would you know about this?
So selling via an e-commerce platform is generally okay as a free zone company, but again, you need to stick to the restrictions that Jamie mentioned initially. You have to outsource the physical delivery of the goods via a commercial agent or a distributor in the mainland. So taking payment via an e-commerce platform is generally okay as a free zone company, but certainly physical delivery of the goods where the goods are changing hands has to be outsourced as a free zone company. So again, this would depend on the business model. What is the business model? Do you want to take control of the delivery yourself? And if the answer to that question is yes, then you have to be incorporated in the mainland. So again, very much dependent on how the business wants to operate. So that you could actually do it both ways, depending on how they want to do it.
we are actually launching this coming week a very specialized product package aimed for e-commerce companies. And what we're doing is we're tailor-making a few of the needed solutions that all e-commerce companies need in terms of payment gateway, warehousing solutions, distribution, logistics. So we are embedding all of this into one product, and we are putting it forward for all of the e-commerce companies that are looking to set up. So if you are an e-commerce entrepreneur and you're looking to learn more about this, please get in touch with one of the guys that listed their emails below, and be happy to send you more information on this. Right, let me go through a few more other questions. Here, Romel, one for you. It says, there is an exemption of the necessity of an office lease and MOU in the first year in case of instant licenses. Would be able to open a business bank account with this?
So yes, the answer to that question is, the thing with an instant license is, like you said, you don't require an office space for the first year, but for the second, third, and fourth, you will do. Now, when it comes to specific activities, for instance, general trading, it's a requirement for you to have an instant license. So yes, you can get a bank account open with an instant license. It just means that you have to get an office in the second year of operation.
Excellent. I think I have so many questions coming in. Paul and Alistair, I would like you guys to touch a little bit upon the recent news that we have announced last week about us starting operations in Saudi Arabia. Paul, can you tell us a little bit more about this and how we are able to help clients set up their companies in Saudi Arabia from now?
Sure. Again, so like I explained, the arc of the company, you know, the owners have been very keenly aware, let's say, of where the markets are heading and how we might bring solutions. There's been an opening up of Saudi Arabia, which we've all seen recently. There's a lot of myth and legend about, you know, what's possible and what isn't, but it's definitely the powerhouse in the region economically. So it makes sense that businesses and entrepreneurs would want to start to move into that market. So what we've done is we've looked to understand what that process is, apply our same ethos and model. So it's a relatively largely unknown for many people. So we've done our due diligence. We've sought to understand the different products that are there. What are the requirements? How best to set up? Again, not just any setup, but what is the smart way to do it? What are the consequences for an entrepreneur in doing that? What are the likely costs? What are the pitfalls? Where are the hazards? And really trying to assemble a package or a range of packages which give people options in the full view of the facts. So we're at the point now where, having done that, we're already getting inquiries now directly to Alistair. So Alistair will probably be able to advise you better, definitely will be able to advise you better on the status of that.
Alistair,
Yeah,
what are the different structures by which we can help investors set up in Saudi Arabia?
Absolutely. I mean, Saudi Arabia business setup, there are some similarities to here in the UAE. There's also some pretty major differences as well. Your setup options, everyone will be pleased to know, is very simple. You have two options. One is you set up through what's called MISA, which is the Ministry of Investment in Saudi Arabia, formerly known as SAGIA. And that is really the option for the expat entrepreneur, because as an expatriate, this is the only way you can own the business officially on paper. The alternative is you can set up a GCC national-owned company, but as that name suggests, it can only be owned by GCC nationals. Depending on the type of business you're looking to do, again in Saudi Arabia, would mean which one you're going to go down. We have solutions for both. So as Paul correctly pointed out, it's a very exciting market, Saudi Arabia. Vision 2030 is in full steam. They're a very young population, biggest economy, of course, in the GCC. So we've seen a lot of demand, a lot of interest since we put out this news 2 weeks ago. And absolutely, if anyone has questions, my email is there, or please give us a call. We'd be happy to answer them.
And I think it's because a lot of the companies that are based in the UAE, they see the importance of moving into a market like Saudi Arabia. It's such a natural move for companies that are already operating in the UAE, and they want to set foot in Saudi. So definitely any of you attendees that would like to learn more about Saudi Arabia, we'll be happy to send you more information. Now, Jamie, I think we didn't touch upon enough of our business hub services, our co-working and office space, our telephone answering services. What can we tell our viewers about how we can help them in this regard?
Yeah, great point. Huge aspect, in fact. So for those that are wondering where we're located, we're based on Sheikh Mohammed bin Rashid Boulevard in Plaza Terra 1, where we have 2 floors, the 17th and the 19th floor. The 19th floor is where we would typically sit as a company, but the 17th floor was set up as a business hub originally, which has been now turned into what's basically like a business center. The purpose of that is it gives us the ability to register your company without renting any dedicated office space. But coming back to exactly Lorenzo's point there about our business hub services, that is really catered for any free zone based company or any mainland company. And I suppose to give you a little bit more in-depth background to that, we can set you up with a Dubai-based telephone number, irregardless of the setup, whether it be in Ukraine, Rakiz, Fujairah, or Sharjah. We can give you a dedicated Dubai number, along with a receptionist, where you will actually decide the meet and greet message. So they will answer any inquiries that will be sent to you via email, or simply put through an alternative number that you will provide to the receptionist. In addition to that, you know, working from home, I can tell you one thing, I'm looking forward to getting back to the office at one of these points. It's fun while it lasts, but at the same time, I can see now that you guys, entrepreneurs, you are grafting at home. There's a lot of self-motivation here, but from time to time, you want to be able to be around like-minded people. I know I miss working with obviously the guys and the rest of the team, and having that ability to be surrounded by them and that kind of motivation and like-minded people is definitely something we miss. So we're enjoying these things. So what I'm trying to say here is we have a co-working space, which is set up for the purpose of all of our clients, where they can then come use the actual allocation to meet and work with people. They're closely connected with their account managers, including us, in case they need to just knock on our door for any more advice. In addition to that, if you're looking to actually meet or brief with clients or your team, if you have a team of employees, there's dedicated meeting room access, which we can provide you as well. In addition to that, there's of course obviously a snack and beverage lounge, etc., that are obviously complemented with that. But from the majority base, it gives you an actual space there to actually operate from.
Excellent. Romel, there's a really good question here that says, hello, I would like to ask you if audit requirements are tighter for mainland than for free zone companies. How is the audits done between the 2 options?
It just depends. Different free zones have different requirements. So I know that Shams free zone in Sharjah, Fujairah do not have any audit requirements at the moment, but other free zones such as Rakiz do have audit requirements. In the mainland, it's more focused on the last year of operation that you need to make sure your audit stream intact. But it's also not just a matter of it being required. It's obviously better for you to do it for your business anyway. So there are some free zones that it's not required. So if you don't feel you need to do it, you don't need to do it, but it's something that you should do anyway.
We in fact have a full unit, a separate company called Creative Zone Tax and Accounting that can help any of the attendees out there, any of our clients, or all from outside, people from outside that are not clients of Creative Zone. We can help you with the audit reports, with your bookkeeping. So if you have any queries on that, please get in touch. There's recently been announced the economic substance regulations that are also a very hot topic right now. So if you'd like to learn more about that, please get in touch with us. All our emails are there. Now, Paul, as I bring a couple of other questions, I would like to see if you can post, you know, when we go to our website, creativezone.ae, it shows 3 different packages. There are 3 separate landing pages. I would like to see if, as we continue this discussion, if you can post the links of these 3 different landing pages that talk about setting up a company in DED, one in Shams, or one in Fujairah. I think we have these 3 different options with a 0 visa package, a 1 visa package, or a DED company. If you could please post that, Paul, on the chat as we continue this couple of minutes, because I will encourage anybody, any of the attendees, to click on these landing pages, to have a look at these specific products. And if you would like to learn more about any of those products, please go ahead and submit in the form, write in the form that you attended this webinar and that you would like to learn more, because we're able to give you a special discounted price. So, Paul, can you announce a little bit what is this special offer that we're thinking of putting out and how people can reach this and avail this opportunity.
You mean the one connected with the webinar?
Yes.
Okay, so thank you all for attending today. We've been talking about how we view value that we deliver, and hopefully there's been some value for people today. I hope we'll pick up any questions that we didn't get to today and get back to people individually with the answers to those questions. As a further thank you, if you like, for attending and spending time with us today, we'd like to offer everyone whose email is registered with this webinar a further 1,000 dirhams off any package that they take up with us in the coming weeks. So if you just need to use your same email address as you've logged into here, and we will ensure that that's applied to any package you discuss with us.
Excellent. And I started posting there the landing pages of the 3 different promotions that we have going on. I think I just posted Shams. Guys, can you help me post the other ones, or I will try to speak and do this at the same time. Let me see. I just did Shams. But if there are any further questions, we're getting to the end of today. If there is anybody that has any further questions, anything that would like to raise, we received quite a lot of requests. We have a lot of your emails on the chat. So we're going to be connecting with you in the coming days. I'll give it another few seconds. Are you guys able to upload those links? Yeah. Who is on it? I think I have a Dubai mainland one here. 1 second. All right, so there I put 2 of our landing pages, which is for Shams and for DED. If you would like to learn more, please fill in the forms, write in the form in the comments that you attended this webinar, and we will attain to the special promotion that Paul was talking about. We passed well the 1 hour. We have more questions coming. We still have 100 people attending. I think we're going to have to do another of these sessions in another couple of weeks. There's a lot of interest of people trying to learn more about, the intricacies of setting up a company. We're more than happy to help. Please reach out to us, and we'll be more than happy to share how we can help you in setting up your business. Again, Paul, Alistair, Jamie, Romel, thank you for taking the time and share your knowledge with us. And to all the attendees, thank you for taking part of this webinar. We look forward to staying in touch with you and to help you through this journey of setting up your company. Guys, thank you so much.
Thank you very much, guys. Thank you.
Thanks, guys. Thanks, Lorenzo.
Thank you. Take care.
Bye.